Donald Trump outlining his plan to destroy ISIS and take on radical Islamic terror.
We will defeat radical Islamic terrorism, just as we have defeated every threat we've faced at every age and before. But we will not, remember this, defeat it with closed eyes or silenced voices. We have a president that doesn't want to say the words.
All right, well, in his first major foreign policy speech, Donald Trump laid out his plan for a major shift in the war on terror and how he'd fight it. But will his strategy work? Let's bring in our panel of experts now, security experts, if you will. Former CIA guy, operative, if that's what he likes to be called, Mike Baker. Former FBI Terror Task Force member, Steve Rogers, playing the middle seat. And former Army intelligence officer, Andrew Peek. Michael, do you like what you heard?
Well, I mean, I think he hit some good points. I thought the speech could have been structured a little bit differently. I would like to have seen him attack Hillary's record more. He touched on it. I think that he should have probably flipped it around a little bit. I mean, shown the differences between his policies, his plans, his intentions, and what we've seen over the past 7.5 years, and her track record. Start with that, then show the chaos afterwards, all the attacks around the world, rather than set the table with the attacks.
With the attacks?
Yeah, I think he might have lost folks there a little bit. He disappeared down a rabbit hole with the talk about keeping the oil in Iraq. I think that was not necessary operationally, logistically, politically. That's never going to be something that would happen. But overall, yeah, I think he made the points he needed to make. Not a lot of specifics, but I suppose, you know, not really the place to delve into specifics.
Right, yeah. Steve Rogers?
The plan is brilliant. Look, Donald Trump has created a very effective strategy. Economically, he's going to hit him. Militarily, he's going to hit him. And ideologically. But, Brian, this is why I say brilliant. And the left doesn't like to hear this, and a lot of Republicans don't like to hear this, but him embracing Vladimir Putin and Russia in this war is the brilliant part of it. Look, Ronald Reagan had to embrace Gorbachev in order to become very effective in the things he wanted to do worldwide. Donald Trump is doing the same thing.
On that note, let's take a look at what he said he would do with Russia.
I also believe that we could find common ground with Russia in the fight against ISIS. Wouldn't that be a good thing? Wouldn't that be a good thing?
Problem is, he's had a chance to fight ISIS, Vladimir Putin, and he's bombing the rebels that we're supplying. So I really doubt that Vladimir Putin would be a dependable leader, Andrew.
No, it's absolutely right. You know, what I'm struck by in that passage is the fact that this is almost exactly what Barack Obama was promising in 2008. He was promising to reset relations with Russia, work with imperfect regimes that shared our interest in fighting terrorism. And since then, Vlad Putin turned out to not be that trustworthy a partner.
Right. Well, that's true. To reset. So they're very critical of him being open to that, but they were trying to reset that relationship. But remember, Mike, we worked with Stalin to defeat Hitler.
No, exactly. I mean, and I understand what Steve was saying, and there's, you know, again, they're both actually right in a sense, right? We need to deal with the realities on the ground. Look, Russia has re-engaged with Turkey in this battle, in part because they're sticking it to us because they realize our relationship with Turkey now is on the
well, Turkey went to Russia,
right? But I mean, they're both doing this for their own reasons. However, the reality on the ground is they're there. Russia has significant leverage. They're not about to give up their only port for their Black Sea fleet. That's not going to happen. So we have to understand they're there for the long haul. We have to deal with it. So in a sense, Donald Trump is absolutely correct. We've got to work with him, but we've got to be pragmatic and understand that Putin's intentions, agenda, and interests are not aligned with ours, but we have to deal with it.
And by the way, they're not aligned with Turkey because Turkey doesn't want Assad there either. But Steve, here's the deal. They got there because Barack Obama did nothing with Syria, allowed Russia to re-enter the Middle East, which is disastrous in its definition.
Exactly, Brian. But there's two very important points to make. Donald Trump took Hillary Clinton's reset button and turned it into a respect button. Russia has to respect us now. And keep in mind this very important point, working with naval intelligence in the 90s, we realized one thing. Russia is an emerging threat. They're going to need us down the road.
Andrew, I got to ask you, too, about the immigration things. He's talking about extreme vetting. We've done this before in the past. When we recognize an enemy, whether it's communism or, you know, early on when we thought we were going to war with the French, we would recognize and look for the enemy within. Do you have a problem with that?
No, I thought it was the right thing to do. I mean, my problem was I don't know why the terrorists wouldn't just lie about it, right? If they have a form saying, do you support tolerance and multiculturalism?
Well, I mean, you got to have extreme vetting, like the same way we don't get them on planes.
No, it doesn't seem. I realize the devils are going to be in the details on this one, but it seems like this wouldn't be too high a hurdle to jump over.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of people out in Iraq trying to do vetting of individuals that would be working for the infrastructure companies out there. You have to get so granular. You got to get out to the villages and talk to people if you want to understand what somebody's background, associations, activities have been. So the problem is, first of all, we need to explain to the American people. The administration, the current administration, should have been honest with the American people and explain, here's what our vetting process currently is. Let's explain it to the American people, and they can see where the holes are, and then we can have a rational discussion about how to improve it.
Well, guys, unfortunately, that'll have to be the last thing we say, but I would like this. Can we Google them before we bring them over with the San Bernardino Killers?
Yeah.
We didn't check their Facebook page.
Remember the Cold War? Are you a member of the Communist Party? Remember the Cold War?
I do remember that,
before.
which we won. And